Father Jai Jinendra, Shishu Sanskar Bodh, Part 3, Unit 1, Lesson 1, 8th Bowl, Yog 15. 4 subtypes of Manoyog, Satya Manoyog, Asatya Manoyog, Mishra Manoyog, Vyavahara Manoyog. 4 subtypes of Vachan Yog, Satya Vachan Yog, Asatya Vachan Yog, Mishra Vachan Yog, Vyavahar Vachan Yog. 7 subtypes of Kaya Yoga. Audarik Kaya Yoga, Audarik Mishra Kaya Yoga, Vaikriya Kaya Yoga, Vaikriya Mishra Kaya Yoga, Aharak Kaya Yoga, Aharak Mishra Kaya Yoga, Karman Kaya Yoga. The activities of mind, speech and body are known as yoga. Satya Mano Yoga, thinking of objects in the way they exist. Asatya Mano Yoga, thinking of objects in the way they do not exist. Mishra Mano Yoga, it is a mixed way of thinking. It involves both partial truth and partial falsehood. Vyavahar Mano Yoga, in this kind of thinking, there is neither truth nor falsehood. It involves imperative thinking, such as if giving orders, advising, instructing, etc. Satya Vachana Yoga, speaking the language of truth. Asatya Vachana Yoga, speaking the language of falsehood. Mishra Vachana Yoga, speaking the language which is a mixture of partial truth and partial falsehood. Vyavahar Vachana Yoga, speaking the language which is neither truth nor falsehood. This implies to orders, advices, etc. Audarik Kaya Yoga, movements, actions and functions of physical body are known as Audarik Kaya Yoga. Audarik Mishra Kaya Yoga, combined functions of physical body with either Aharak, Vaikriya or Karman bodies is known as Audarik Mishra Kaya Yoga. Vaikriya Kaya Yoga, movements, actions and functions of astral body, Vaikriya Sharir, are known as Vaikriya Kaya Yoga. Vaikriya Mishra Kaya Yoga, combined functions of astral body, Vaikriya Sharir, with Audarik or Karman body is known as Vaikriya Mishra Kaya Yoga. Aharak Kaya Yoga, movements, actions and functions of assimilative body are known as Aharak Kaya Yoga. Aharak Mishra Kaya Yoga, combined functions of assimilative body with physical body are known as Aharak Mishra Kaya Yoga. Karman Kaya Yoga, movements, actions and functions of Karman body are known as Karman Kaya Yoga. You have to do memorize this bowl with correct pronunciation in right sequence. Lesson 2. 9th bowl उपयोग 12. 5 ज्ञान, मति ज्ञान, श्रुत ज्ञान, अवधि ज्ञान, मनपर्योग ज्ञान, केवल ज्ञान. 3 अज्ञान, मति अज्ञान, श्रुत अज्ञान, विभंग अज्ञान. 4 दर्शन, चक्षु दर्शन, अचक्षु दर्शन, अवधि दर्शन, केवल दर्शन. The word upayog means to make use of. To make use of soul in activities of knowledge and perception is known as upayog. Gyan, to know the things in their special form is known as gyan. Darshan, knowing the things in general is known as darshan. Mati jnana, knowledge derived through the senses and mind is known as mati jnana. Shrut jnana, the knowledge gained after mati jnana which helps in suggesting the relationship between a word and its meaning is known as Shruta Gyan. Avadhi Gyan, to know the tangible objects without any assistance of senses and mind with some limitations is known as Avadhi Gyan. Manaparyo Gyan, to know the mental thoughts of a being endured with mind without any assistance of senses, and the mind is known as Manaparyo Gyan. Keval Gyan, to know all the objects, whether they are tangible or intangible, minute or gross, is known as Keval Gyan, omniscience. The only difference between Gyan and Agyan depends on a living being. If a being possesses right faith, samyaktvi, then his knowledge is known as Gyan. But if a being possesses perverted faith, mithyatvi, his knowledge is known as Agyan. Mati Agyan, knowledge derived through the senses and mind by a being with a perverted faith is known as Mati Agyan. Shrut Agyan, the knowledge gained by a being with perverted faith after Mati Agyan, which helps to know the relationship between a word and its meaning, is known as Shrut Agyan. Vibhanga Agyan, to know the tangible objects without any assistance of senses and mind by a being with perverted faith is known as Vibhanga Agyan. Chakshu Darshan, general perception of objects through eyes is Chakshu Darshan. Achakshu Darshan, general perception of objects by mind and the four senses other than eyes is known as Achakshu Darshan. Avdhi Darshan, general perception of tangible objects without the assistance of senses and mind is Avdhi Darshan. Keval Darshan, general perception of all objects, whether they are tangible or intangible, is Keval Darshan. You have to do memorize this bowl with correct pronunciation in right sequence. Lesson 3. 10th bowl Karma Art. ज्ञानावरणीय कर्म, दर्शनावरणीय कर्म, वेदनीय कर्म, मोहनीय कर्म, आयुष्य कर्म, नाम कर्म, गोत्र कर्म, अंतराय कर्म. The karmic particles which gets attracted and bound to the soul by its auspicious and inauspicious activities resulting into happiness and sorrow are known as karma. 8 types of karma. Jnanavaraniya karma, the karma which obscures the full potential of knowledge of the soul is known as Jnanavaraniya karma. This knowledge obscuring karma is like a band on the eyes. By tying a band on the eyes, vision gets obstructed. Similarly, Jnanavaraniya karma obstructs in gaining knowledge. Darshanavaraniya karma, karma covering the soul's faculty of perception. Darshanavaraniya karma, karma covering the soul's faculty of perception is known as Darshanavaraniya karma. Just as without the permission of gatekeeper, it is not possible to meet the higher authority. Similarly, Darshanavaraniya karma obstructs in perception of seeing things. Vedaniya karma, the karma which is responsible for the creation of favorable and unfavorable environment or situation, mainly at a physical level, is known as Vedaniya karma. Vedaniya karma is compared to a sword dipped in honey. When licked, it gives a sense of pleasure, but when the sword cuts the tongue, it results in pain. Mohaniya karma, the karma which obscures right belief and right conduct of the soul and generates delusion, is known as Mohaniya karma. Mohaniya karma is compared to intoxication, as there is no presence of mind in an intoxicated person. Similarly, by the rise of deluding karma, person's view is perverted and the person indulges in materialistic and sensory pleasures. Ayushya karma, the karma that holds a soul for a specified quantum of time in a body, is known as Ayushya karma. As a man restrained with wooden stock is not able to free himself without breaking them, similarly, the soul cannot move from one life cycle to the other without enduring Ayushya karma, Nam karma, the karma which decides auspiciousness and inauspiciousness of beings' body, gati, jati, etc. is known as Nama karma. As a painter makes different types of paintings, similarly, Nam karma is responsible for forming different body shapes, gati, jati, physical organs, etc. Gotra karma. The karma determining high or low status of a jeev is known as Gotra karma. As a potter makes small, large pots according to his wish, similarly, the rise of Gotra karma determines whether an individual gets high or low status in life. Antaraya karma, the karma that obstructs soul's effort to achieve its own nature, is known as Antaraya karma. Despite of having permission from the king, one cannot access the riches until the treasurer gives it. Similarly, without the elimination of Antaraya karma, one cannot get the desired riches. You have learned. Attracted by the auspicious and inauspicious activities of the soul, Pudgal becomes the reason of happiness and sorrow. These Pudgal are known as karma. All the 8 karma causes different types of hindrances. Mohaniya karma is the king of all karmas. You have to do memorize this bowl with correct pronunciation in right sequence. Before doing any activity, try to avoid unnecessary bondage of karma. Lesson 4. 11th बोल गुणस्थान 14. मिथ्यादृष्टि गुणस्थान, सास्वादन सम्यक दृष्टि गुणस्थान, मिश्र गुणस्थान, अविरति सम्यक दृष्टि गुणस्थान, देश विरति गुणस्थान, प्रमत्त संयत गुणस्थान, अप्रमत्त संयत गुणस्थान, निवृत्ति बादर गुणस्थान, अनिवृत्ति बादर गुणस्थान, सूक्ष्म संपराय गुणस्थान, उपशांत मोह गुणस्थान, क्षीण मोह गुणस्थान, सयोगी केवली गुणस्थान, अयोगी केवली गुणस्थान. The gradual development of the spiritual characteristics of soul is known as Gunasthan. The spiritual journey of a soul from minimal development to complete development has been divided into 14 stages. Mithyadrishti Gunasthan, one who has perverted faith towards Tattva doctrine. Saswadan Samyak Drishti Gunasthan, a jeev falling from Upasham Samyatva unless reaches first Gunasthan, an intermediate stage till then. It has a slight taste of true belief. Mishra Gunasthan, a mixed state of belief and non-belief in true doctrines. It is a stage of uncertainty. Avirati Samyak Drishti Gunasthan, the stage of a soul possessing right belief but not capable of adopting vows. Here one has faith towards truth, but the mind is not yet prepared to practice it. Deshvirati Gunasthan, one who undertakes partial vows. Beings belonging to this stage are also known as Shravak, Vratavrati, Sanyata Sanyati. Pramatta Sanyata Gunasthan, a stage of a sadhu with 5 Mahavrat. However, negligence, pramad, persist in this stage. Apramatta Sanyata Gunasthan. In this stage, the sadhu is vigilant at every moment and has complete awareness. Nivritti Badar Gunasthan. In this stage, the gross form of Kashai is eliminated. Anivritti Badar Gunasthan. This stage has a high degree of suppression or destruction of Kashai. At the last moment, anger, ego, and deceit are completely eliminated. Sukshma Samparaya Gunasthan. The subtle amount of greed remains in this stage. Upashanta Moha Gunasthan. This is the stage of complete suppression of Mohaniya karma. Kshina Moha Gunasthan. In this stage, there is complete elimination of Mohaniya karma. Sayogi Kevali Gunasthan. In this stage, one attains Keval Gyan, omniscience. Kevali in this stage persists with simple activities of mind, speech, and body persists. Kevali in this stage persists with simple activities of mind, speech, and body. Ayogi Kevali Gunasthan. In this stage, omniscient is devoid of all the activities of mind, speech, and body. You have learned. The gradual development of the spiritual characteristics of soul is known as Gunasthan. There are 14 stages from minimal development to complete spiritual development of the soul. You have to do memorize this bowl with correct pronunciation in right sequence. You have to keep in mind the Shravaka has fifth Gunasthan. The progression of sadhu begins from the sixth stage of spiritual development. The purity of soul is responsible for higher or lower gunasthan. Those rules must be obeyed with dedication. Lesson 5. 12th बोल 5 इंद्रियों के 23 विषय. There are 3 subjects of श्रोत्रेंद्रिय. जीव शब्द, अजीव शब्द, मिश्र शब्द. There are 5 subjects of चक्षुरेंद्रिय. Krishna, Neela, Rakta, Pita, Shweta. There are 2 subjects of Granendriya, Sugandha, Durgandha. There are 5 subjects of Rasnendriya, Tikta, Katu, Kashai, Amla, Madhur. There are 8 subjects of Sparshanendriya, Shita, Ushna, Snigdha, Ruksha, Karkash, Mridu, Guru, Laghu. The subject of Shrotrendriya is word. It is of 3 types. Jeev Shabda. Sound produced by living beings, humans, animals, birds, etc. Ajeev Shabda. Sound produced by non-living beings. Mishra Shabda. Sound produced by combination of both living and non-living beings. The subject of Chakshurindriya is color. It is of 5 types. Krishna, black. Neel, blue. Rakta, red. Pita, yellow. Shweta, white. The subject of Granendriya is smell. It is of 2 types. Sugandha, pleasant smell. Durgandha, unpleasant smell. The subject of Rasnendriya is taste. It is of 5 types. Tikta, spicy. Katu, bitter. Kashai, astringent. Amla, sour. Madhur, sweet. The subject of Sparshanendriya is touch. It is of 8 types. Sheet, cold. Ushna, hot. Snigdha, greasy. Ruksha, dry. Karkash, harsh. Mridu, soft. Guru, heavy. Laghu, light. There are 5 senses. In brief, each sense has its own subject, and in detail, they can be classified into 23 subtypes. The subjects of 5 senses are not different objects. In fact, they are various forms of one tangible object. For example, there is a sweet laddu. Its subjects can be known via hearing with ears, watching with eyes, smelling with nose, tasting with the tongue, and touching with the fingers. You have learned. There are 5 senses. Each sense has its own subject. These 5 senses can be classified into 23 subtypes. You have to do. Memorize this bowl with correct pronunciation in right sequence. Understand the subjects of 5 senses and try to avoid being obsessed towards them. Lesson 6. 13th बोल 10 types of मिथ्यात्व. धर्म को अधर्म समझना, अधर्म को धर्म समझना, मार्ग को कुमार्ग समझना, कुमार्ग को मार्ग समझना, जीव को अजीव समझना, अजीव को जीव समझना, साधु को असाधु समझना, असाधु को साधु समझना, मुक्त को अमुक्त समझना, अमुक्त को मुक्त समझना. Believing the concept not in its true form but in contrary form is known as mithyatva. On the basis of dharma, marga, jeev, sadhu, and mukta, mithyatva is classified into 10 types. Believing dharma as adharma, to fast, to pay obeisance, to speak truth, to listen to pravachan, etc., self-discipline and penance. Such spiritual practices through which the soul gets purified is dharma. Believing these as a stereotype and consider them adharma is mithyatva. Believing adharma as dharma. Dharma lies in non-violence, etc. Doing violence, etc. and considering it as dharma is mithyatva. Believing right path as wrong path. Believing right path as wrong path. Right knowledge, faith, conduct, and penance. These are path to liberation. Not apprehending these four as path to liberation is mithyatva. Believing wrong path as right path. To think that liberation can be obtained by violence, etc., is mithyatva. To believe that salvation can be obtained without the path of right knowledge, faith, conduct, and penance is also mithyatva. Believing living being as non-living being. Due to lack of understanding, considering earth-bodied, water-bodied, fire-bodied being, etc. as non-living beings is mithyatva. Jeev is characterized by its own quality, consciousness. Not believing this is mithyatva. Believing non-living being as living being. On observing movements, shapes, and structures of non-living beings, alike living beings, believing them as living beings is mithyatva. Believing ascetic as non-ascetic. The one who follows all the 5 Mahavrats is ascetic. Considering them as non-ascetic is mithyatva. Believing non-ascetic as ascetic. The one who does not follow the 5 Mahavrats is known as non-ascetic. But believing him as ascetic on the basis of his outer conduct is known as mithyatva. Believing liberated soul as non-liberated soul. The soul that has attained complete freedom from eightfold karmas is liberated soul. Believing this liberated soul as non-liberated soul is known as mithyatva. Believing non-liberated soul as liberated soul, believing non-liberated soul bounded with eightfold karmas as liberated soul is mithyatva. You have learnt. Believing a matter not in its true form but contrary form is known as mithyatva. It is necessary to know the characteristics of mithyatva. You have to do. Memorize this bowl with correct pronunciation in right sequence. You have to keep in mind. For a soul to attain liberation, samyaktva is foremost. Therefore, one should always be devoted towards Dev, Guru and Dharma. One should not get distracted in any situation. Om Arham.